Good morning, class 10 students. I welcome you all on this online digital learning platform provided by Jagrati Classes. Today we are going to start a new chapter, that is the chapter of biology, chapter 6, life processes. So this video is for class 10th and we are starting our chapter 6 and the chapter is life processes. So before starting the chapter, we'll see what do you mean by this term life processes. Life processes are all the biochemical activities or the metabolic reactions which are required for the sustainability of life. So life processes means all the important biochemical activities. If we try to define this term, we'll get all the useful biochemical activities or you can say metabolic reactions which takes place or occurring in the body of organisms and these all biochemical activities and metabolic reactions are useful to sustain your life. So all the useful biochemical activities or metabolic reactions occurring in organism's body and is important for the survival of any organism. For the survival of organism. These processes are called life processes. Okay? So by the definition you get that life processes are very important for the survival of any organism, that is to sustain life. Now what kind of life processes do we have? If we make a general discussion that on life processes, then you say that in plants or in animals we have different kinds of life processes. If you talk for the category of animals, then also you will have different life processes. If you are talking about simpler forms of animals, that is your unicellular organism, or if you are talking about the more complex multicellular forms, then you would have some different processes which are responsible to sustain life. As we know that in unicellular organism, unicellular means those organisms which are made up of a single cell. In unicellular organism, these life processes are performed only by that single cell. For example, if you consider amoeba as your unicellular organism, because amoeba is unicellular, so this means that amoeba contains only a single cell. And all the life processes or all the metabolic activities like digestion, respiration, everything is performed by this single cell. So in unicellular organism, we have a simpler level of organization and which we are comparing to as simple from the multicellular or your advanced forms. Then next you can have many examples more and you easily can see that compared to plants, animals also have a complex series of life processes. Why so? Because you know that plants are generally attached to the substratum or attached to the plant part. But animals on the other hand have the capacity for locomotion. Locomotion means movement of animals from one place to another place. So we say that for animals the life processes or the energy requirement would be different and it would be more if we compare to the life processes which occur in plants. Then next you can say if you make a differentiating column between animals, between the life processes of animals and plants, you can have that in animals because they have much more energy requirement than plants. The structural organization of animals is complex. That is, animals have a complex structural body organization. Whereas talking to plants, you have comparatively simpler organization. then this signifies that in animals, due to a complex structural organization, and then you have more energy requirement because animals perform various activities in their whole day-to-day life compared to plants. So due to these two reasons, the life processes occurring in animals are quite complex in nature. The life processes of animals are complex in nature, or they are much different as compared to the plants. Because in plants you have a structural body organization, next you have what is less energy requirement. So this was a general discussion, what do you mean by life processes, and then comparison of life processes between animals and plants. Next you have a very important life process that is nutrition, or you may say digestion. So now we are starting the first topic, that is nutrition. What do you mean by this term nutrition? And every life process we will study in plants and animals separately. That is, you have to study nutrition in animals and you have to study nutrition in plants also. So firstly, talking about the general term nutrition, this term nutrition signifies that it is the process to obtain food. Okay? Nutrition in simple terms means the process by which any organism, either plant or animal, obtain its food. And you know that food means here complex substances. And in turn, this food, when an organism, either plant or animal, intakes its food, then this food contains many complex substances and it needs to be broken down into simpler forms so that we can obtain energy from them. So now nutrition is the process to obtain food. Then you have, what do you mean by the term nutrients? Nutrients are the important useful components that are present in your food, and these nutrients are in turn responsible for providing you all the basic needs or all the useful things. That is, these nutrients are responsible for providing you with energy. So nutrients, these are the components present in the food and are responsible to provide you with the useful feature or to provide you with energy. To provide energy. So this is what you mean by the term nutrients and nutrition. Okay, so this was nutrition and nutrients, what you have here. I hope this general discussion is well clear. Then you can also read the introductory pages given in this chapter. That is the 1-2 pages which are written. Okay, then you will have a clear idea about why we are studying, what is our aim. We should have different life processes. So this was, what do you mean by the term nutrient, nutrition, life processes. Then you have different types of nutrition with you. That is, the nutrition or I can write modes of nutrition. So you generally have 2 modes of nutrition. That is, nutrition can be autotrophic. The first one which you have is autotrophic nutrition, and the next one would be heterotrophic nutrition. And these terms are nothing new. I know you have studied them in your junior classes. So this is a very basic introduction, okay, about nutrition. Next one would be heterotrophic nutrition. So what do you mean by this term, autotrophic nutrition? Autotrophic nutrition means those organisms which can prepare their own food are called autotrophs, and this kind of nutrition is called autotrophic nutrition. And what do you mean by the term here? The organisms, heterotrophic means, or heterotrophs you can say. The organisms, or if you are defining heterotrophic, you can say the mode of nutrition in which an organism cannot prepare its own food by itself and is dependent on others for obtaining food. Such organisms are called heterotrophs, and this mode is known as heterotrophic nutrition. Autotrophic can also be divided into different kinds. That is, you can have chemoautotrophs, or you can have photoautotrophs. Then in heterotrophic, you can again divide it into various categories. That is, heterotrophic can be holozoic. Then you have saprophytic, that is saprotrophs. Then you can have parasitics, parasites, parasitic mode of nutrition. So these are the different modes of nutrition. You can make this flow chart. Autotrophic we'll discuss now one by one, okay? So first term what you have is autotrophic nutrition. What do you mean by autotrophic nutrition? You can write it is a mode of nutrition in which the organism means either it can be a plant or it may be an animal. So in which the organism has the ability to produce, or you can write to synthesize, its own food. Okay? So autotrophic nutrition means mode of nutrition in which an organism has the ability to synthesize or make its own food. And such organisms which show autotrophic nutrition, such organisms are called autotrophs. And you have two kinds of autotrophs basically. So, two kinds of autotrophs may be subdivided. That is, autotrophs can be subdivided into two categories. The first one would be chemoautotrophs, and the second would be photoautotrophs. Then what do you mean by the term chemoautotrophs? Chemoautotrophs means which use some chemical substances as the raw material, and then using these chemical substances, autotrophs means they make their own food. So those organisms which require certain chemical substances and they transform these chemical substances into their required food on their own, so they are called chemoautotrophs. So chemoautotrophs, the organisms which require certain chemical substances as the raw materials for making food. These organisms are called chemoautotrophs, and because they make their food on their own, so this term autotrophs is here, and because they are using certain chemical substances for making their food, they are called chemoautotrophs. Next you have photoautotrophs. So I think you can define them. What do you mean by the term photoautotrophs? The word photo here means in the presence of light, okay? Because if you have studied, or you will study in your higher classes, that we can say light travels in the form of photons, okay? This is a higher concept. So you can say that photoautotrophs, photo means light, Autotrophs means the organism which make the food on their own. So photoautotrophs can be defined as the organisms which synthesize their own food by themselves in the presence of what? In the presence of light. That is, they require light, either it would be sunlight, for example. So where can you keep, what would be the example of photoautotrophs? The general example of photoautotrophs would be your green plants. Because you know, green plants use sunlight and they synthesize their own food by the process of photosynthesis. So the example here would be green plants. And green plants synthesize their own food. That is the important point which we'll discuss. We'll discuss the photosynthesis process in detail now. So, green plants use sunlight and make their own food. This process is called photosynthesis. This is called as photosynthesis. So this is an account of autotrophic nutrition which you have with you. Autotrophic nutrition is a mode of nutrition in which organism make its own food. Then such organisms are called autotrophs. We have two kinds of autotrophs, chemo and photoautotrophs. Chemoautotrophs, for synthesizing the food, they need chemical substances. Photoautotrophs require the presence of light source for making their food. The example of chemoautotrophs may be bacteria. Okay? We have chemosynthetic bacteria which synthesize their own food. No need to remember the name. Okay? The exact example. You can write chemosynthetic bacteria. Then you have photoautotrophs. The common example is your green plants. And if you are asked a question that, give an example of autotrophs, or why green plants are called autotrophs. So you will write green plants, they manufacture their own food using the process of photosynthesis and thereby they are referred to as autotrophs. Now next we study about, okay, first let us study about heterotrophic nutrition and then we will see the process of photosynthesis in detail. So the next category of nutrition was heterotrophic. So if you are given, write the definition, what do you understand by the term heterotrophic? What you will do? You will say that it is a mode of nutrition in which the organisms do not synthesize or do not make their own food. Besides, they are dependent on other organisms for food. These are called heterotrophic. This mode is known as heterotrophic nutrition, and then you can write such organisms are called heterotrophs. So this was the definition of heterotrophic nutrition and heterotrophs. Heterotrophs are the organisms which obey or follow heterotrophic mode of nutrition. Then you have types of heterotrophic nutrition. Then heterotrophic nutrition can be of different types. The first one can be saprophytic, or you can say saprotrophs. Okay. Then next you can have parasites. Then the next may be holozoic nutrition. These all are heterotrophic nutrition. So what do you mean by the term saprophytic or saprotrophs? Saprotrophs are the organisms which undergo or which follow saprotrophic mode of nutrition. So saprotrophs, these are the organism. When you have the suffix phs, that is heterotrophs, saprotrophs, then these become the organism. And if you write heterotrophic, then it becomes a mode of nutrition. So you can write saprotrophs, these are the organisms. And if I say which mode of nutrition do they follow? So they follow saprophytic type of nutrition. Saprotrophs are the organisms which obtain their food, or I am writing which obtain their nutrition from dead and decaying matter, from the dead and decaying organic matter. Then next you have the parasitic mode of nutrition, and the organism would be the parasite. So these organisms also obtain the nourishment or food from other organism. But the difference between these and saprotrophs is what? Saprotrophs obtain from the dead organisms, while these are themselves living, and they obtain their food from the other living organisms. Parasites, organisms which obtain their nutrition from other living organism. That is, you can name them two categories, or you can name the two components separately. The organism which is obtaining nutrition is called parasite, and the organism which is providing the parasite with its nutrition is called as host. So you can say that this mode of nutrition contains parasite-host relationship. This term is important, okay? You should know what do you mean by the host. For example, if I give you an example of this parasitic mode of nutrition, then you have ticks, okay, on the body surface or body hairs of dogs. Or you can also see lice, which is a common hair problem in many areas, okay? So you may have lice. If you do not care properly, or if you are not hygienic, then you may also develop lice in your hairs. So lice are present in hairs of humans generally. So what we have is, if you take this example, because the example of lice is very common. Okay, if you have lice in your hair, what does it signify that? Can you tell me what is the host? I am writing here, hair of human. So here, this lice would be the parasite. Remember, lice is also living and human is also living. But this lice is the parasite, because I told you that parasite is the organism which obtains nutrition. So lice here would act as your parasite. And human, because it is providing the lice with nutrition, so this human would definitely be the host here. In similar terms, these ticks would be the parasite and dogs would be your host. So if you are asked, what do you mean by this term, host organism? So host organism is that organism which is living itself, but it is providing the other organism with nutrition or nourishment. Then you have more different modes. That is another mode which you have studied. I hope you would have studied this, symbiotic nutrition. In this, you again have two living organisms. Like if we talked about this parasite, if we talked about saprophytic, you have one living organism. You have, this was a relationship between living organism and dead organism or the dead organic matter. This living organism was benefited, okay? It was getting the nutrition, and this dead organism, it had no effect because it is dead. The next, parasite. In this parasite, you had the relationship of living organism with the other living organism. Both the parasite and host is living here. But one of the living organism is benefited, for example, lice. Lice here is benefited because it is getting its food. But human or dogs, the other living organism is not benefited, okay? So we have the plus minus relationship here. But talking about this symbiotic, in this symbiotic also, if I write in short, you have two living organisms. And both of them are benefited. That is symbiotic, you can write down or note down the relationship. It is again a heterotrophic because each organism is dependent on the other. So symbiotic is a special heterotrophic nutrition, mode of nutrition in which two organisms remain mutually together, and in turn both these organisms are benefited from each other. For example, a symbiotic relationship between algae and fungi is called a lichen. Example of symbiotic would be your lichens. Lichens is the symbiotic relationship between an algae and a fungus. And you know, algae and fungus both will be benefited if they stay together. This is the symbiotic example of your symbiotic relationship. So these are the different kinds of heterotrophic and autotrophic mode of nutrition. Now we will be discussing a very important process by which green plants can make their own food. And the process here is photosynthesis. So photosynthesis is the process by which green plants make their own food. You can write for photosynthesis, process by which your green plants, which are also called autotrophs, synthesize their green plants synthesize their own food. Okay? Then you should know the process of photosynthesis. You will say that it occurs in leaves, but the exact would be it occurs in the chloroplast present in leaves. And if you know what are chloroplast, in your 9th you have studied in chapter 5 the basic unit of the fundamental unit of life cell. Chloroplasts are a kind of plastids, okay? Plastids are only present in plants, they are absent in animals. And the green color plastid is called chloroplast. And this chloroplast is present in the leaves of plant. So photosynthesis process occurs in the chloroplast present in leaves. Then this process, what are the raw materials required for the process of photosynthesis to occur? First raw material you require is your carbon dioxide gas, which you will get from air itself. Then the next raw material which you require is water, and this water you will get from the soil. Okay? So you have two raw materials required for photosynthesis. Then the next point would be what are the conditions or the other requirements. Can the process of photosynthesis occur at night? No, obviously not. That's why I am telling you the conditions, and I hope you know these. First one is the sunlight. And because of the requirement of sunlight, the process of photosynthesis does not occur at nights. And the next requirement apart from sunlight is your chlorophyll. Okay, so these are the requirements for the process of photosynthesis, the different raw materials which you require and the different conditions. If I try to write the process of photosynthesis in the form of equations, then you say that the requirements or the raw materials CO2 and water are written, and these in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll. In the presence of this, you get your plant food in the form of glucose, okay, C6H12O6, and the byproduct of photosynthesis is oxygen. This oxygen you can also say a waste or your byproduct for the plants. So this oxygen is released out by the plants, and I think you can easily balance this equation. Try to do it, okay, on your own. Don't see the textbooks also. 6 CO2 in the presence of 6 water molecules gives you a single molecule, 1 molecule of glucose, and 6 molecules of oxygen gas are released out. And the released out oxygen gas is used by other organisms like the animals and the humans for what? For respiration, for breaking down our complex food particles. We'll also see a very interesting difference between respiration and breathing, okay? These two processes are different. If I say breathing, I mean a different process, and if I say respiration, I mean some different terminology. And this terminology, I have seen students, they intermix them. That is, the process of breathing and respiration are same for them. So now, after reaching class 10th, you will get a difference between respiration and breathing. That too we'll see in our further lectures. So this represents the equation of photosynthesis and in turn the process of photosynthesis. And photosynthesis is occurring in only plants, okay? Photosynthesis does not occur in animals. This I hope you already know. Then photosynthesis can be divided into two parts, that is light reaction and dark reaction, and this you will study in your higher classes in detail. You just have to know the steps. This was the equation or general representation of photosynthesis. Then you have steps of photosynthesis. Photosynthesis, I am telling, it can be divided into two processes, light reaction, dark reaction, that we will study in higher class. So steps, first step is the absorption of light, okay? Because we are saying for photosynthesis you need this light, sunlight. So first one would be absorption of light. And who is responsible for absorbing this light? This green pigment present in plants is required for the absorption of light. So we say that if chlorophyll is not present in plants, if some plants are present which lack chlorophyll, will photosynthesis occur? The answer would be a definite no. Because the first step of photosynthesis, that is absorption of sunlight. Who is responsible for absorbing sunlight? Absorption of light by this chlorophyll molecule, or your green pigment chlorophyll. So remember, if any plant do not contain chlorophyll, no photosynthesis would occur in them. Then the next step is, once this light is absorbed, this light energy is converted into the chemical energy, or you can see the chemical food, glucose. So second would be conversion of light energy, okay? Light, which is a form of energy which was trapped by chlorophyll, which was absorbed by chlorophyll. Now this light energy would be converted in the chemical energy. These all steps are even written in your books, okay? These steps are given on page number 96 of your textbook. That is, the first step is absorption of light by chlorophyll molecule. The next is, as I told you, the next is conversion of this light energy into your chemical energy, that is into the form of glucose, C6H12O6. And then one more process occur, which is photolysis of water, H2O molecule ka photolysis. What do you mean by photolysis? Photo means, I already told you, presence of light, and lysis means breakdown. So you can also refer this step as splitting or breakdown of water molecules in the presence of light. So this was a detailed description about the process of photosynthesis. That is, photosynthesis is the process by which green plants make their own food. This process occurs in the chloroplast, which is present in leaves. The raw materials required for photosynthesis, different conditions which are required, and the steps of photosynthesis, then the general equation. Remember to write always this equation in the balanced form, okay? So this was a brief or a detailed description about photosynthesis. Now in the next class, we will be doing digestion, that is nutrition in humans. Today we have discussed nutrition in plants. We discussed different kinds of nutrition, and then we discussed nutrition process, that is photosynthesis in plants. In the next class, we will be dealing with digestion, that is nutrition in animals. And then we'll move on one by one simultaneously to the other systems which are given in your books. Other important life processes we have to study in detail, okay? So I want that these chapters are very easy. You just explain or learn these topics, and then you can write the topics in points, and then you can easily understand and learn these. And then also, if you have any kind of doubt, you can contact us anytime. Till then, please keep studying, stay home, stay safe, okay? All the best for your studies and preparation. I hope everything goes well. Thank you for joining the class today, and I hope to see you next again soon. Thank you.